And we are live.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the public regular meeting of the Rochester Community Schools Board of Education. And we will begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will invite Luke Rawcliffe. Luke is a fifth grader at Meadowbrook, and he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Luke, take it away.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I got
Thanks, Luke. We really appreciate you being here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay, again, welcome to our meeting. We're glad to have everyone here in person, and welcome to those of us who are watching us at home on YouTube Live. So as a reminder, this is a public meeting of the Board of Education. It is not a public hearing. We do have several ways for the public to participate, however. We have room on our agenda for the public to speak, and if you'd like to speak to us on the agenda, you can fill out a form on our website. That's under the Board of Education area on our site, and that has to be filled out by noon Wednesday prior to our meetings. Tonight we have one member of the public who has made that request. Second, at the end of the meeting, we do have time for public comments. To participate, please fill out a yellow card and give it to Christina Whitmore, or you can actually just give it to any of us at the end of the table. The yellow cards are over there on that table. And that's just for the record, so we have your name and information for our minutes. We also have time at the end of or during our agenda items, our action items on our agenda, and we'll call on you at the time. And again, we still do need you to fill out a yellow card so that we have your name and spelling for our minutes. When you're addressing the board, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. We'll let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining. I'll let you know. When you're addressing the board, please state your name and your relationship to the district. We will not be answering direct questions from the public tonight. We will make sure someone follows up with you to address your concerns, however. According to our board bylaws, we do request meeting, and we will exclude from the meeting any individual who engages in conduct that constitutes a breach of the peace. Again, these are from our bylaws of the Board of Education. We ask that everyone please silence their phones, including my board colleagues here, and on behalf of the entire board, we are grateful to serve this community and we appreciate your support. Next item on the agenda is roll call, and let the record show we have 5 members present, and Andrea and Kevin are absent with notice. Spotlight on success. It looks like we have recognitions of the MHSAA state champions this evening, and I will turn this over to, I think, Lori, who is on Zoom, and I know that we have some recognitions to give virtually. I know that there are many recognitions to give tonight, and so I think the decision to make sure that that was accommodated via Zoom was a smart one. So Lori, go ahead.
Thank you, President Bull. Tonight, we are celebrating our student athletes, specifically our Michigan High School Athletic Association Division I state champions. There will be 2 recognitions. First, we have Jack Van Howe from Rochester High School, who is the 100-yard backstroke state champion. And then we will be honoring the Rochester Adams competitive cheer team for winning their second consecutive state title. After we introduce our athletes, we will be showing a short video of the students during competition. The board will then have the opportunity to congratulate these truly amazing student athletes. At this time, we welcome Rochester High School Athletic Director Dean Allen to say a few words. Mr. Allen will then introduce Coach Aaron Helander.
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to meet with you all tonight. I couldn't be more proud to share the stage with our state champion swimmer, Jack Van Howe, and his head coach, Aaron Helander. Our athletes have done everything we've asked of them during the winter season: screening questions, daily temperature checks, quarantining, enduring uncertainty. Last year, the 2020 state swim finals were canceled 2 days before they were scheduled to begin. All those swimmers, including Jack, returned to the state swim finals in 2021 and represented Rochester with tradition, character, and the ultimate achievement, a state champion. And now, Rochester High School's head boys swim coach, Aaron Helander, will highlight Jack's 2021 championship season.
Hello, I'm Coach Helander with Rochester High School swim and dive team. I've gotten to work with Jack over the past 6 years at Heart of the Hill Swim Club and the last 2 years at Rochester High School. And it's been amazing to see him go from being a good swimmer to now being one of the best in the nation. And that's really a testament to the hard work that he's putting in. And I know last year when the state meet was taken away, he was seated second going in and he was excited for the state meet. That really lit a fire under him. And, you know, with everything going on this year, really pushed through to come out on top this year and just see how all the hard work is paying off. So he's not only a leader in the pool, but also out of the pool. He was just voted captain for next year, which is really exciting. And I know he's in the middle of the college recruiting process right now. So just with that, all the hard work is paying off. Love seeing how he's grown. And then Jack, if you have something you'd like to say, I'll pass it over to you now.
Thank you, everybody, for the acknowledgements for state champion. It was a huge success for me. It's the best swim I've ever had in my life. And I just can't wait to keep on moving forward and just getting faster.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Coach Helander. At this time, and stay tight, Jack, because we're going to show a clip later of your winning competition there. At this time, we would like to welcome the Rochester Adams High School Athletic Director, Brian Hassler. He'll say a few words and then introduce cheer coach, Brooke Miller.
First of all, thank you for the privilege of being here to recognize both Jack and the Rochester Adams cheer team. This 2020-21 team was dedicated, hardworking, and more importantly, they were great teammates. They all contributed, including JV student athletes stepping in when needed for a district, regional, and state championship run. As I said earlier today for the students at Adams during our announcement, as you write 412 in the upper corner of your assignment, take a second to give kudos for the team that won 2 state championships back to back. With that, I want to introduce head coach Brooke Miller, who is a top tier coach, mentor, and individual for the Rochester Adams cheer program. And we can't be happier to have her as an Adams coach. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian, and thank you, everyone. As Brian said, I'm the head coach at Rochester Adams, and I'm happy to be able to speak a little bit about all of these amazing athletes. We had an unconventional start to the season. Unfortunately, we started with a shutdown that lasted quite a few months, but they persevered and were very driven throughout that shutdown, where they were practicing in their basements and their garages and just trying to stay ready for the season that we hoped would come. This team's very, very close. They consider themselves a family. They have 3 sets of sisters on the team and 23 returners from our last state title holding team. And to work quickly and get everything together, all of our material as quickly as possible this season. And it was a very quick start here, but we're very proud of them. They were very special in the start, and they proved that they were the team to beat, day after day of this season. Again, we faced many challenges like every other team in the state with, injuries and illnesses and quarantines, but like Brian said, when, we had someone out, someone would step up and fill that role seamlessly. It really just proves how strong of a team that they really are. And not only did they win, leagues, districts, regionals, they also were undefeated in Division I, and they made history as the only 4th team ever to be a back-to-back state champion in Division I. So very special. We're very proud of them and could not have asked for a better season or a better team to have this year.
Coach Miller, did you want to go ahead and introduce the young ladies one by one? I'm going to ask that when you announce their name, they kind of make some type of sound of hi, just so their picture comes up on the screen then.
Absolutely. I'll say your names pretty slowly, ladies, so if you want to take yourselves off of mute when I call your name. All right, Celeste.
Hi.
Ava Bolin.
Hi.
Ava Bandra.
Hi.
Sophia Bandra.
Hi.
Katie.
Hi.
Melina. I don't believe she's on. Claire.
Hi.
Maya.
Hi.
Elizabeth.
Hello.
Destiny.
Hi.
Ella.
Hi.
Francesca.
Hi.
Carly Headland.
Hi.
Lily.
Hi.
Mayla.
Hi.
Laurel.
Hi.
Sabrina.
Hi.
Kennedy.
Hi.
Emma.
Hi.
Skylar.
Hi.
Peyton.
Hi.
Olivia.
Hi.
Alex.
Hi.
Megan.
Hello.
Ashley.
Hi.
Gigi.
Hello.
Carly Schultz.
Hi.
Christina.
Hello.
And I do see Melina on now, so I'll give her the chance to.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, my microphone wasn't working.
All right, and that is the 2021 varsity cheer team. And it is also coached by my assistant coaches, Jocelyn, Quinn, and Allison.
Thank you, Coach Miller, and congratulations to the Rochester Adams High School competitive cheer team. So at this time, we would like to actually show a short video of the athletes during their winning competitions. And I've watched this video several times already, and I seem to never be able to get enough of it. Although we already know the outcome, it's still so exciting to watch the best student athletes in our state perform. So stand by, we'll get the video on.
All right, here we go for a state championship in the 100-yard backstroke. The 8 competitors are ready to hop into the water, literally. And in they go. That poising second seems like an eternity at perhaps. But they get out of the way, and here we go. Backstroke. Lane number 5, that's Van Howe with the early advantage. Jack Van Howe of Rochester with the early lead. Halfway through, Van Howe touches at 23.84, 24.12 for Welkening, 24.24 for Adonin. Van Howe with a half-length lead. Jack Van Howe, a Rochester junior. What will happen in the final 25 yards? Adonin stays in the longest, but does he have time to catch Van Howe? The answer is going to be no. Jack Van Howe is a state champion at 25.51. 25.51 for the time and 49.35. 49.35 for Van Howe.
One moment, please. We're having a slight little difficulty. We'll get you right back up on. President Bull, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the athletes and the coaches and the athletic directors for being here with us virtually tonight. I guess, the perseverance and the resilience that those two videos demonstrate, it's not even something I can comprehend personally as a parent. So I give all of you such credit for what you did. And all of the things that you had to overcome to get there. Just really incredible work. And on behalf of the Board of Education, we're so proud of you. We're so proud that you're representing our district at these events. And good luck next year. Good luck next year. Thank you for that presentation. I think that's all we have for Spotlight on Success tonight, right? Okay. All right. So getting on with our agenda. Communications, Secretary of the Board of Education, Michelle, if you can tell us about communications we've received.
Good evening. Yes, the Board of Education received 14 email communications that came in through the RCS website since our prior meeting and also prior to the since the previous meeting and prior to the April 7th noon deadline. District parent Sherry Drainer contacted the board regarding return to remote learning. We received 2 emails from district parent Andrew Weaver and 1 from Stephanie Van Dale regarding members of the Board of Education. District parent Meredith McCutcheon contacted the board requesting a more comprehensive plan for educating students who are quarantined. District parents Jamie Hilliard, Amy Chermside, and Jessica Opfer contacted the board regarding the weekly COVID-19 report and how other districts are reporting the data. District parent Michael Franz contacted the board regarding live streaming instruction for quarantine students. District parents Shannon Fascio and Kristen Riley contacted the board regarding mandatory COVID testing for all athletes. District parent Colleen Farley contacted the board to thank us for our work. International Academy student So-Yoon Park contacted the board regarding providing a free online ballet class to young RCS students. District parent Suzanne Croissant contacted the board regarding the rules for quarantining students. In addition, we also received emails that did not go through the RCS website. We received 3 from Andrew Weaver, 1 with questions regarding the communication that was sent by the district opposing racism and violence, 1 regarding 6th grade participation in track, and 1 with questions regarding a payment made in 2019. 5 emails. We also received 5 emails from David Recknagel regarding COVID testing for RCS athletes. And that's, I believe, all the communications that we've received as a full board.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is student representatives to the board. So excited that you're here in person. We'll start with you, Sudong Kim, Adams High School.
Lovely. All right, good evening, esteemed members of the board. Welcome back from spring break, and we hope everyone has had a chance to relax, recharge, and spend time doing what makes you happy. Tracy Schwartz, our learning consultant, went into Algebra 2 and 11th grade English Language Arts classes to provide strategies for SAT testing. She provided students with an overview of the sections, sample questions, and meaningful ways to tackle the test, while also focusing on the posture of calm confidence. Students then completed practice questions implementing these strategies and took note of what worked best for them. We wish all students in the district, grades 9 to 11, on their attack of the SAT tomorrow, and we hope they crush it. On Monday, March 22nd, the Highlander staff had a professional development meeting focused on mental health and self-care. Departments also worked together on their quarantine support plans for students who are out of school for COVID-related reasons. Our staff appreciated this moment to take a breath, collaborate, and practice some self-care. I'm actually going to stray from this, and I just want to give a shout out to all teachers in the district. Students are taking note of how much you are putting in effort, especially given the circumstances. And I know it's not easy for us students, but it is 10 times, so many times harder for you guys, and we are so appreciative. All right. And then the Highlander staff is busy planning and prepping for all the traditional senior events, which will begin in May. We are so excited to provide the class of 2021 a memorable end to their educational journey at Rochester Community Schools. And over the course of Charity Week, Adams was able to raise over $20,000 for Common Ground in their ongoing efforts to combat issues of mental health and domestic violence that exist in our community. We are proud of our Highlanders and community for coming together to support this cause in spite of the given circumstances. Our senior class president, Megan Mills, and STUCO member, Snigdha Tinetti, are currently collecting information regarding our seniors' future plans in what they are calling Senior Spotlight. This is a way to honor the journey and achievements of each of our outstanding seniors. These senior spotlights will be highlighted on the Adams Seniors 2021 Instagram page for everyone to enjoy. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a great end to the night.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Next, we'll have Rochester High School, Sophia.
Hello, and good evening to all board and community members. I'm Sophia Shahaki, the board representative from Rochester High School. First off, we would like to wish a very special good luck to all of our juniors taking the SAT and other standardized testing this week, along with our 9th and 10th graders who will be taking the PSAT. Our staff is so proud of you and so excited to see how amazing our Falcons do. We are also very excited to start celebrating the accomplishments of the class of 2021, starting off on April 30th at 7 p.m. with a virtual showing of Night with the Stars, our seniors' superlatives, and showcasing some amazing students in our class. Shortly following, we will be celebrating over 200 students with our honors convocation May 6th at 6:30 p.m. And following, we will be honoring our outstanding seniors with a senior lunch and walk on their last day of school, May 17th. Later in the week, we will be having prom on May 20th at 7 p.m. at the Palazzo Grande. Rochester's commencement ceremony is June 12th at 7 p.m., and our administration and staff are so excited to plan such a special day for our seniors at DTE Amphitheater. Afterwards, there will be our senior all-night party at Rochester. Starting next month, AP testing will be taking place for students who signed up to take the College Board exams for AP credit testing. We wish our Falcons who are taking these exams the best of luck. Our winter sports wrapped up before spring break, and all of our winter sports teams had great seasons. We would like to congratulate Jack Van Hal for being a state champion in the 100 back and breaking his own set school record. We would also like to congratulate Kevin Troy on his amazing senior season and ending 3rd in the state for his division and having 154 career wins. Amazing job. And finally, spring sports have been starting back up after spring break safely at RHS with weekly testing for all spring athletes. Good luck to our girls soccer team, boys and girls lacrosse teams, boys golf, baseball, and softball for the rest of their season. And we cannot wait to see what they accomplish. Thank you so much and have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, Sophia. And last but not least, we have Viola from Stony Creek.
Okay, good evening to the board and audience here and on Zoom. I am thrilled to finally be here delivering my update for our first in-person meeting. My student council is electing next year's representative this week, and I'm very excited to show next year's school board representative how the process works at the next meeting. Since our last update, we had our Tri-High Charity Week in March. We could not be more thankful that we were able to have our Charity Week, and we are thrilled with how our events turned out, and most importantly, how much we were able to raise for Common Ground. Throughout the week, we had many class challenges that allowed classes to unite for the cause and pool together for the chance to donate and win a food raffle. We had our annual pancake breakfast, a morning coffee bar, coin stalls, and a rubber duck race down Van Hoosen River. In replacement of our normal annual charity ball, this year we hosted an art show featuring Stony students' pieces and photo backgrounds for students to take pictures at. We were incredibly successful with all of our events, and we were very pleased with the student and faculty participation. We are extremely excited to announce that our final total raised for Common Ground was $10,788. With the uncertainty of this year, we are so incredibly thankful and proud of our Stony Creek students and faculty that contributed to this amazing donation. Our theater company at Stony Creek has begun rehearsals for our spring musical, Hello Girls. And as a member of the cast, we are so happy to be able to rehearse and are very excited for our show. We're doing 3 performances on May 27th, 28th, and 29th, and we're performing outdoors for safety precautions. Our theater club is also hosting our annual Stony Awards on May 8th as a small event to celebrate the theater and performances we did get to have this year. This past weekend, our National Honor Society continued their collaboration with the Caleb White Project and helped to completely redo and furnish 2 apartments in Detroit. And our revived school newspaper, The Source SCHS, is expanding and expecting new editors and writers for next year. They're very excited to add new writers and boost morale with their current updated articles that can be found on their website. Our boys basketball team won districts on March 27th against Troy and beat them 42-36. And our girls varsity basketball team were also successful in winning districts. We're very proud of our Cougar basketball teams and their representation of the district this year. Our boys varsity wrestling team had 6 members qualify for states and 5 of them place at the state level. And our boys varsity lacrosse team is currently 2-0 and they have a game tonight against Oxford. Our women's varsity lacrosse team has their first game tonight and are very excited to finally begin their season. Many of our swim and dive members were able to swim at states, as well as our varsity cheer team competing at the state level this year, and we had 1 cheerleader compete all state. Our women's varsity soccer team won their game over the past weekend, and we had a member of our varsity track and field team break the school record for high jump at 5 feet 1 inches tall. Our women's varsity tennis team is currently practicing and awaiting matches soon as well. All of our Stony sports teams are very happy that they're able to participate in this part of the season, and they have been diligent in following COVID guidelines and precautions while maintaining teamwork skills. As a senior this year, I am personally so thankful for the hard efforts of the board and administration for pushing for the class of 2021 to be honored with the graduation ceremony, prom, honors convocation, and senior walk. It means all the world to me that we're able to have these senior traditions, and I'm so excited about them. With that being said, I would like to thank my student council, Stony Creek faculty, and the board for this amazing opportunity that I got to have this year of representing Stony Creek at the board. I've had an excellent time being the representative, and I am excited to pass my position on to next year's representative at the next meeting. I'll be passing my position to the next elected representative and showing them the process. Thank you again, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks so much. Thanks to all of you. So I think that your last meeting with us will be our next meeting in May then. And we'll look forward to doing a little celebration for you then. So thanks for being here. I know that you don't have school tomorrow, so you can hang out here if you want. I mean, it's pretty fun. Or if not, have a great day off tomorrow, and we'll see you guys back here in May. Yep. Next, we have citizens requesting placement on the agenda. Tonight, we have 1 citizen who has requested placement prior on the agenda, and that is Andrew Weaver.
Good evening. So my name is Andrew Weaver. I have 2 sons at Brooklands. I just want to really, I'm going to address the communication with the board. So we'll start with the moving of this meeting was not communicated well. Many members of the community had to ask why it got moved. There was no explanation. Only 2-way dialogue has been when members have shouted down people of the community. The communication is the easiest thing you can do. It actually should not cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to communicate well, but yet we continue to see the district spend that amount of money. No one on the board is questioning whether that money is being spent in a productive way or what we are getting for that money. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's probably also why it's often said that you don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. That's probably how we end up at 311 days without a survey being done in the community, because that allows everyone up here to continue to say they have the support of the community. But again, you don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to. We were told we would have a survey and results would be released in February. Again, here we are in April, but yet not a member of our board that's supposed to represent the community has said anything about that. Our district continues to have unchecked power, and our representatives do nothing that they're supposed to do to represent the community. Recently, the district again sent out an email claiming to have had data to support a decision. This was the second time that I submitted a FOIA request to get the data to support that, and there was none to be found. This has been shared with the board members, and not one of you have questioned why the district would send out emails stating that they had data to support decisions, then the data does not exist. The board is supposed to be a check on the district, not the PR arm of the district. At what point do we get actual representation of the community? That's all I got.
Thank you. Members of the Board of Education, do any board members have any communications they'd like to detail? Michelle?
Yeah, I had a couple that I didn't bring with me the last time as well that I'll include. Cameron Evans had contacted me regarding how to have a quarantine review, and he also had some suggestions for wording of some emails. Jamie Hilliard contacted me regarding COVID testing questions. Kenneth Gu was requesting information for a high school project, and Kathy Nitz contacted me regarding the secondary daily schedule and learning plans for quarantine students. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members? All right. Next we have PTA council. Oh, I had one. I had a couple emails to detail. I had an email from Amy Chermside thanking us for the graduation plans. I had several emails from Adams High School students questioning post-spring break learning plans. And I had a couple emails from David Recknagel about athletics testing. Next item on the agenda is PTA council update, and Lisa Roscoe was supposed to be here tonight and at the last minute wasn't able to be, so she sent me her remarks. I'm going to read those now for her. Lisa says, the council board is finishing up taping videos for the 4th grade health fair. Thank you to the NHS students who helped us out. Also, thank you to Robert Iboli, Dr. Gauthier, Laura Milner, Amy Metz, Deneen Smith, and Deputy Haglund, who are helping us with this endeavor. Our reflections chairs are working with the council board on a pre-recorded gallery stroll and ceremony that will go live May 6th for families to watch. The council board and health and wellness committee is doing a toiletry drive to benefit Blessings in a Backpack from now until April 30th. She says items can be dropped off at each school, and she will send a flyer. She'll send us a flyer on the board with more information that we can communicate. Our Green Schools and Safe Routes chairs are working on a May outside challenge. Stay tuned for more information. The Green School chair is working on videos that will be posted to the Green Schools YouTube channel on how to make our Earth a happier, healthier, and greener planet. She will send us a flyer when ready. Our legislative chair is hosting an event called Personal Stories of Public Service, Careers, Volunteers, and Pathways to Advocacy on April 20th at 6:30 via a Zoom webinar. And she says, thank you for your support. So the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any member of the board or citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be the first item of business under the new business portion of the agenda. Item 5.1, current bills payable for March 1st through March 31st, 2021. In the amount of $35,287,870.93. Item 5.2, Title I, Policy 2102 approval. And those are the only items here. Would any board member like to remove an item for discussion? Or would any member of the public like to remove an item for discussion? All right, then seeing none, I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Moved by Mike, seconded by Barb. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is a 5-0 vote. Next, we have superintendent committee reports. I will turn this over first to Deputy Superintendent Fragamini.
Thank you, Madam President. On April 7th, we had a superintendent steering committee. All board members were present, and our agenda item was operational update.
Thank you. Deputy Superintendent Dana Taylor.
Thank you. The Superintendent's Business and Operations Committee met on April 8th, 2021 and reviewed the facility status of the administration building.
Thank you. And Chief Human Resources Officer Beth Davis.
Thank you. On April 8th, the Superintendent's Policy and Curriculum Committee met and discussed the operational update. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a legislative update, and I would like to welcome to the podium our state representative, Mark Tisdell, we're so honored that he could be here. I know you're super busy. I know you were in some of our buildings this morning, and had a really busy day, but please let us know what's going on in Lansing.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is my Board of Education day with RCS. I started off the morning with Dr. Shaner touring Adams, Rochester High School, and Stony Creek. Was very impressed with the amount of creativity and rapid pace adjustment that's been going on, particularly in light of the suggestions made on Friday, and again, it just bodes well to know that the administration and the boots on the ground are creatively and effectively addressing the safety needs of our students and getting our students back in the classroom for in-person instruction. And everyone I ran into today seemed to be just delighted with that opportunity, and yet the degree of compliance and relative order in the hallways between classes was impressive, and that's one of the issues that has been brought to my attention. And for the elementary students, they're in the same room all day with the same teacher. That changes with middle school and high school. And when there's that much interaction in the hallways and in the cafeterias and class to class, compliance is absolutely necessary. And the students demonstrated a great job in that aspect today. Tomorrow will be my 90th day from being sworn in. January 13th. It's been action-packed. I'm very fortunate to have been assigned to some great committees. I'm vice chair of the Tax Policy Committee. My 40 years of healthcare industry experience was recognized. I'm on the Health Policy Committee, the Insurance Policy Committee, and Families, Children, and Seniors. We had a 15 bill package of healthcare reform come through the Health Policy Committee that moved through. Again, it was bipartisan. I think there were nine of the 15 were sponsored by Republican legislators, 6 by the Democrats. We had another bipartisan 9-bill package moved through for ethics surrounding FOIA and Legislative Open Records Act. I was a part of that. That was my first piece of legislation passed. And like you all with your local government experience, we understand the necessity of FOIA and Open Meetings Act obligations. And Michigan is one of the very few states, 5 or 6 states, where FOIA and Open Records Act does not apply to the governor, lieutenant governor, or the legislature. All 9 of those bills passed the House unanimously. And so I think that's the 3rd time they've passed the House. So hopefully they won't get bogged down in the Senate like they have the last 2 times. And I think by unanimously passing those 9 pieces of legislation, that certainly sent a message relative to where the House stands. Last but not least, and what's pertinent to the school board here, is the House has passed twice a $4.2 billion COVID relief package that has been vetoed twice. A third or more of that spending has been tie-barred to a change in health code, a language that's very much in line with a bipartisan bill that was signed into law back in August, giving authority to open and close schools to the local school superintendents and county health departments. And what this does is it reaffirms that, and it codified very specific, measurable criteria, objective that everyone could see, cases per million, positivity rates over a maintained over a 14-day period. Hospital bed surges and ICU bed surges and available beds available for additional surge utilization. So I don't know if those are the right metrics, but they would have been codified and there for everyone to look at and debate and perhaps adjust. This current surge, we've blown past all of those numbers. And so it wouldn't have been an impediment to any changes at the local level or county level that school superintendents or county health officials would have seen as appropriate. And last but not least, Oakland County has done a very good job with their dashboard and the release of ongoing COVID information, cases, hospitalizations, deaths, those kinds of things. And it's been a very dramatic change in the last year. If you go back to April of 2020, we had 5,100 cases and about 630 deaths a year ago, in that 1 month. Fast forward to this April, through April 9th, we've had 7,100 cases, but only 1 death. And so again, there's been a dramatic change in the progression of this disease. I'm more and more certain that cases is not the proper metric to be looking at, because for each of us, if any of us test positive, and fortunately at age 65, I've got both of my, I'm fully vaccinated at this point, but anyone that's tested positive, the number one question that occurs to them is, what does this mean to my health? And one in 3 are asymptomatic, and those that do have symptoms, 85%, 84% of those are mild. And so it's a complicated talked about this at length. You know, in the absence of information, you go back to a year ago, acting upon this outbreak, this pandemic, with an overabundance of caution is certainly warranted and appreciated. But as policymakers and people that have to put their names on the line publicly for decisions, it's going to be an ongoing challenge as we get more and more information and can be looking at this in a more nuanced manner, and hopefully taking some of the fear and what was in a political year, politicization and weaponization of this information. And we get down to what is it that we really need, and how can we best, in this instance, serve our children in this community. Open for
Thank you.
any questions. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I thank you for being here, Representative, and I love to hear the fact that you've worked in such a bipartisan manner with the committees that you serve on. As a public body of a school district, our concern right now is ensuring that we have a budget that passes by the time that we have to pass our budget, which is by July 1st. So I would love to see that same bipartisan work translate into developing a budget that can pass both the House, the Senate, and through the executive branch. So I look forward to hearing your work in that respect. I know that it can be done, and keeping in mind that I know that there's a lot of moving parts to putting together a budget, but I know that you've served in the past at a city council level. You know how important it is that as a government body, you know what funds you have to work with from the state. And it's the exact same thing here at this dais with this public body as well. So I would just ask that you work diligently to try and meet that deadline of July 1st so that we can meet our obligation as well.
Well, thank you. And, quite frankly, in the last, like I said, 90 days, it's like drinking out of a fire hose, and I'm just trying to keep track of what's going on in my committees. But I was on a Zoom meeting this morning at 8 o'clock with it was the virtual meeting of all of the county school superintendents and Senator Bayer and Senator Runstead and Representative Koopa and Jim Ellison, who I sit on the tax committee with. We're all on that call, and everyone expressed the same desire to get a budget out in a timely manner. Not only is it a legislated obligation on our part, but it absolutely critical to the people that are depending on that money and have to budget around known figures. And we will have hopefully a rather significant amount of one-time additional spending coming out this year. And there's quite a bit of funds already received, and I think there's another 5.5 billion on its way to the state. Obviously, not all of it for education, but there will be a rather significant amount of one-time spending, both in fiscal year 22-23 and 23-24. The ESSER 1 needs to be spent, which is about for Rochester Community Schools, about $15 on the Title I calculation. That has to be spent by September of 2022. ESSER 2, the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds, shouldn't speak in acronyms. That has to be spent by September 2023. And the third bundle, which could be 100 or more, I think ESSER 2 is about $65 for Rochester Community Schools. Could be 100 to 150 more in ESSER 3, and I'm not exactly sure what the deadline on spending that is, maybe 2024, but that part I'm not certain on. We're all aware of that. We all want to get this information and those dollars out the door. Each party and the legislative branch and the administrative branch have some different objectives on that, and we're hopefully going to get that worked out soon.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here, Representative Tisdale. I think it's really important for our state lawmakers to seek to understand, and I feel like you touring our 3 high schools this morning was huge. We're so glad that you were able to have that opportunity, and hope that you learned a lot and can take it back to your colleagues in Lansing.
And I told them, really, I only did it for the swag bags, but
okay.
They were all very generous with their time and treats, and it was a pleasure to get back in the hallways and see our schools in action. I was very fortunate that I was 8 years on the Rochester Hill City Council, and 6 of those years as the Government Youth Council liaison, and had the opportunity to work with 15 of our high school's finest students each year. And it was good. I actually ran into a couple of them, and it was just good to be back on those campuses. And please do not hesitate to reach out to me anytime. And like I say, I don't even control my schedule now. I have staff for that. But I'll come anytime I'm invited.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Now on to the new business portion of our agenda. Item 7.1, extended COVID-19 learning plan recertification. This is an action item, and I will hand this over to Deputy Superintendent Fragomeni.
Thank you, Madam President. Rochester Community Schools is very pleased that on March 1st, all of our students who are enrolled in in-person learning return to our school buildings full-time, 5 days a week. As our community is aware, in January and February, the district opted for a phased-in approach as students returned to face-to-face instruction by cohorts. On Friday, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services provided additional considerations for our schools. However, the current MDHHS emergency order from March 19th remains unchanged. We continue to work with our public health officials in order to make the most informed decisions for the safety of our community. At this time, RCS intends to continue in-person learning and sporting activities as scheduled, with strict mitigation protocols in place, unless otherwise directed by the Oakland County Health Division. We will keep our families notified of updates as soon as they become available. One of the components that is requested that I wanted to bring to your attention was the participation rates moving forward. By law, school districts are required to report participation rates to the state, even when schools are not in session. Participation rates are determined from Wednesday to Tuesdays. From March 3rd through March 9th, the participation rate was 96.8. From March 10th through March 16th, the participation rate was 96.4. And from March 17th through March 23rd, the participation rate was 94.9. Please note that March 19th was a half day for secondary students, and there was no school for all students on March 22nd. Finally, from March 24th through March 30th, the participation rate was 87.8. Please note that this reporting for the last month of March includes a portion of spring break from March 29th and 30th, where there's a report of 0 participation. Finally, the overall participation rate for the entire month of March is 93.9. At this time, we request the board's consideration to renew the return to learn plan. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will take a motion to approve the extended COVID-19 learning plan recertification as presented. Moved by Barb, seconded by Scott. Discussion. So as a reminder, this is a formality. This document has not changed. We are required by state law to approve this recertification every month. Any discussion related to this from the board?
I just
Michelle.
Just one question regarding the participation rates. Do students who are quarantined, are they able to participate and be included in these percentages?
I just wanted to confirm with my people, and the answer is yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on this item? So I do have yellow cards. I have a yellow card from Jeannie Morris, and I don't know if Jeannie, I don't know if this is what you wanted to speak on or not. Okay, all right. Any other member of the public wishing to comment on this?
So hopefully the sound works this time because I got some feedback before that the sound cut off when I was speaking last time. So hopefully it works this time. So think about what was just said. We don't have a plan for actually educating our quarantine students, but we have a plan to make sure they get counted for participation. That is why the community is frustrated. That right there sums up perfectly why the community is frustrated. There's a plan to make sure we get funding and to make sure they get counted, but there is not a plan to educate them. They can be educated. Live streaming is a valid option that many districts are using. We're choosing not to use it. But again, the district made sure that the kids are counted for funding and not a single board member challenges this. This is where the frustration comes from. And it comes from all aspects of the community. It is not just the parents that want in person. It is not just the parents that want virtual. It's the parents that want a remote option that is viable for all the coursework that they want for their students that we have ignored. And yet, again, we made sure there was a plan to count them for funding.
Any other public members wish to comment on this? Oh, yeah, we need you to fill out a yellow card for that too, Mr. Weaver. I will call for a vote then. If you can please turn on your mics. All those in favor of the extended COVID-19 learning plan recertification as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is a 5-0 vote. Human Resources Report, item 7.2. This is an action item. Chief Human Resources Officer Beth Davis.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yep.
This evening, we have 3 resignation and retirements from REA members. Mark Hillbaum, science teacher at Hart Middle School, submitted his letter of retirement effective at the end of the school year. He has been with the district since August of 1986. Lisa Main, science teacher at Adams High School, submitted her letter of retirement effective at the end of the school year. She has been with the district since August of 2008. Nicole Stein, 5th grade teacher at Hamlin Elementary, submitted her letter of resignation effective April 6th, 2021. Ms. Stein has been with the district since September of 2016. We have 1 administrative retirement, I guess, if we have to. And that is Carrie Lawler, Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education, has submitted her letter of retirement effective at the end of the school year. Mrs. Lawler has been with the district since October of 2013. We have a number of appointments, administrative appointments this evening. The first is we are recommending the appointment of Chad Brusky, an accountant in the business office. Chaz previously worked as a senior accountant with the accounting firm of Andrews Hooper Pavlik PLC. And prior to his work in the accounting firm, he worked as an intern in the Office of Budget and Management with the City of Saginaw. Mr. Brusky is a licensed CPA and holds a bachelor's of business administration from Saginaw Valley State University with a major in accounting. We have a number of appointments that we are recommending this evening for appointment to be effective July 1 with the 2021-22 school year. First, the appointment of Rochester High School Assistant Principal. We're recommending the appointment of Dana Moore to the position of Assistant Principal at Rochester High School. Mr. Moore joined coach and participated in the Oakland Schools Aspiring Principals Academy. Mr. Moore has a Bachelor of Arts degree in history from Oakland University and a Master of Arts degree from the University of Michigan Flint in public administration. During the second semester of 2020, Mr. Moore completed an internship with the Rochester High School administrative team and has since served as the interim assistant principal. Next, we are recommending the appointment of Kristen Petrona to the position of principal at Delta Kelly Elementary. Ms. Petrona has served as interim principal at Delta Kelly Elementary since August of 2020. She brings a wealth of experience with more than 18 years as an educator and administrator. Before serving as an interim principal at Delta Kelly, she served as an assistant principal at Hart Middle School, an associate principal at L'Anse Creuse Middle School Central, an intern principal at L'Anse Creuse Concord Elementary School, and an elementary teacher. Ms. Petrona has a Bachelor of Arts degree in English and elementary education from Albion College and a Master of Arts degree in educational leadership from Marygrove College. We are recommending the appointment of Hamlin Elementary School principal. We are recommending the appointment of Amanda Lyons to the position of principal at Hamlin Elementary. Ms. Lyons has served as the interim principal at Hamlin Elementary since August of 2020. She has more than 16 years of educational experience in Rochester Community Schools, most recently serving as the interim principal at Hamlin. Previously, she worked as a learning consultant and reading recovery teacher at Meadowbrook Elementary. She earned an education specialist in educational leadership degree, master's in reading and writing, and a Bachelor of Science in elementary education with minors in language arts and mathematics, all from Oakland University. We are recommending the appointment of Tiffany Galladay to the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Mrs. Galladay has served as an interim Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging since August of 2020. Mrs. Galladay has 15 years of experience teaching kindergarten, second, and third grade, and serving as the learning consultant and reading recovery interventionist at Hamlin Elementary School. Most recently, Mrs. Galladay served as the district's interim Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. Mrs. Galladay has a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary education from Central Michigan University with concentrations in language arts, mathematics, and physical education. Mrs. Galladay earned a Master of Arts degree from Oakland University, and she has extensive training in diversity, equity, and inclusion and culturally responsive teaching. And finally, we are recommending the appointment of Mr. David Murphy to the Director of Human Resources and Employee Relations. Mr. Murphy has more than 19 years of experience in education, with the last 7 years as principal of North Hill Elementary. Most recently, Mr. Murphy served within the Human Resource Department, assisting with administrative staffing assignments, in addition to continuing his work as principal at North Hill Elementary. Mr. Murphy will continue to serve in his capacity through the end of 2021 school year. Previous positions include elementary principal, middle school assistant principal, and special education resource teacher at Warren Consolidated Schools, and a fourth grade teacher at Okemos Public Schools. Mr. Murphy earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary education from Michigan State University and a Master's of Arts degree in special education from Oakland University. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the Human Resources Report as presented. Moved by Michelle, seconded by Mike. Discussion. I'll get to you in one moment. Is there board discussion?
I was just going to say, do we have to accept a retirement? I mean, is that required?
Yeah, we do have to accept Carrie Lawler's retirement. Carrie, we'll celebrate you, I'm sure, at a later date. Congratulations on your retirement. We don't know what we're going to do without you. We appreciate your steady leadership over the past 8 years. Really excited about all the appointments that were the administrative appointments and the new hires, but especially the administrative appointments that we are approving tonight. Just a lot of great appointments and a lot of really great people with this organization.
And we hope to have an opportunity very soon to be able to recognize those appointments in person.
That would be great. That would be great. Any other board member discussion? Members of the public. Sir, did you have something? Okay. Do you want to state your name when you come to the podium too?
My name is Rick Baldick. I'm a resident of the district. Your current budget and business plan calls for 11 executives. You currently have 13. Now you want to add 2 more. You have a staffing crisis at the building level. Please explain how 2 more executives is going to help you solve that by adding to an already bloated executive budget.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to comment? All right. So I will take a vote to approve the human resources recommendations as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That is a 5-0 vote. Next item on the agenda is change orders, and this is an action item. Deputy Superintendent Dana Taylor.
Thank you. As you know, change orders are an inevitable part of construction and can be issued for a variety of reasons. Unexpected site conditions can require additional work, and scope revisions and design plans are common reasons for change orders. Some change orders result in savings where actual costs were less than projected, and conversely, some change orders result in additional costs. Periodically, an analysis of completed projects and projects in progress is prepared to determine if any adjustments in the budget are needed. A recent analysis of the budget to actual costs for all of the completed bond funded projects resulted in a net reduction in estimated costs in the amount of $5,564. These change orders include the final adjustments for the University Hills, Ruther Middle School, Van Hoosen Middle School, Stony Creek High School, and Caring Steps flooring projects. It is important to note that all of the bond construction projects are now substantially complete except for the administration building. We recommend the approval of the change orders on the completed projects as detailed in the board documents, which result in a net reduction in the amount of $5,564. Overall project costs remain within budget at April 12th, 2021.
I'll take a motion to approve the change orders as presented. Moved by Michelle, seconded by Barb. Board discussion on the change orders. Michelle.
Just a quick question on those, on the closed jobs, Dana, are those just small items that came up after it was closed that needed to be fixed? Was that additional work that they decided to do? What are those?
For miscellaneous invoices, that's exactly what happened. So, so maybe a project was closed, but then something came up that had to be done in addition to, encoded to that project. So for the $10,821, that's exactly what that was. Things that came up after the project was closed.
So fixes to the work that had already been done or additional?
So I think that Pete Musio is on Zoom, so we'll ask him to speak to that if that's okay.
Pete, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, Michelle, that's exactly what that's for. Actually, was for some work we did over at Musson Elementary to address some humidity issues that they were having in in the music and the art room. So we had to go back in and update some of the control work and then do a little bit of modification to one of the existing air handler units.
Thank you.
Any other board member questions or comments? Any public comments on the change orders? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the change orders as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is a 5-0 vote. Next item on the agenda, an action item, sinking fund projects. Deputy Superintendent Taylor.
Thank you. 3 projects are being presented for approval tonight from the sinking fund. All bids were reviewed and evaluated by the district's construction manager and the director of capital projects. All of the accepted bids were found to be initially compliant with the required specifications per the detail in the bid summary and were analyzed on bid content, completeness, inclusion of required submittals, and compliance with required specifications. Interviews with the low bidders in each category included an in-depth evaluation of each bid. The construction manager's recommendation was reviewed by the district director of capital projects and purchasing supervisor. The first project is the Rochester High School Storm Drainage Project. On February 25th, 2021, the district received 2 bids for 1 category of construction for the Rochester High School Storm Drainage Project. We recommend that the following contract be awarded. Bid Pack A, earthwork, storm, sewer, and concrete, be awarded to Eagle Excavation Incorporated in the amount of $92,200 plus allowances and construction manager fees of $56,824 for a total current project cost in the amount of $149,024 at April 12th, 2021.
Okay, I think we need to go through all of them and then take a motion to put it on the table and then ask questions and discussion.
Thank you.
Yep.
The next project is the Baldwin and University Hills Playgrounds and Transportation Center Drainage Project. On February 25th, 2021, the district received 16 bids for 4 categories of construction. We recommend that the following contracts be awarded. Bid Pack A, earthwork and site utilities to JSS Macomb LLC in the amount of $83,513. Bid Pack B, asphalt paving to Nagel Paving Company in the amount of $44,330. Bid pack C, concrete to Albinelli Cement Contractors in the amount of $46,200. And bid pack D, masonry to Alba Masonry Stone and Tile, $14,950. These contract recommendations total $188,993, plus allowances and construction manager fees of $81,351, for a total project cost of $270,344 at April 12th, 2021. For the last project, these are contracts for mechanical, electrical, plumbing projects installations. On February 25th, 2021, the district received 20 bids for 12 categories of construction trades for the mechanical, electrical, plumbing installations project. We recommend that the following contracts be awarded. Bid pack A, masonry to Connolly Masonry, $46,500. Bid pack B, structural and miscellaneous steel to Howard Structural Steel Incorporated, $74,114. Bid pack C for carpentry, ceiling and millwork, the district received no bids. Bid pack D, metal siding, again, the district received no bids. Bid pack E, painting to Bella Paint and Design, $2,800. Bid pack F, pool equipment to Alta Enterprises, $370,147. Bid pack G, mechanical package A, Adams High School to Contrast Mechanical, $401,700. Bid pack H, mechanical package B for Rochester High School to Contrast Mechanical, $452,500. Bid pack I, mechanical package C, pool dehumidification to Miller Bolt Incorporated, $459,000. Bid pack J, mechanical package D for curing steps and miscellaneous work to Miller Bolts Incorporated, $413,500. Bid pack K, electrical package A for mechanical upgrades to Electrix Industrial Solutions, $161,290. Bid pack L, electrical package B for electrical service upgrades to Advantage Electric and Controls for $143,800. We also had two owner bid packs. The first one is for controls to be awarded to Control Solutions Incorporated, $128,895. And finally, owner bid package for testing and balancing to EnviroAir Incorporated, $63,675. These contract recommendations totaled $2,717,921, plus allowances and construction manager fees including the mechanical, electrical, plumbing project equipment purchase contracts awarded by the board on January 11th, 2021 in the amount of $2,228,787, totals $5,802,848 at April 12th, 2021.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the sinking fund projects as presented. Moved by Barb, seconded by Michelle. Discussion. I wanted to ask some clarity about the pool dehumidification and the pool work in general, just for the record and for the public to understand. I believe I believe that these are being done at each high school in phases. Can you talk a little bit about or maybe Pete can talk about how long these parts last? And just to reiterate to the public that this is the cost and this is what they cost.
Sure, I'll ask Pete to talk about that.
Pete, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Kristen. Yeah, you're correct. We are replacing the dehumidification units at all three high school natatoriums. So a year or so ago, we did the one at Rochester High School. So this package and the previous package that was included to purchase the equipment back in January are to do Adams and Stony Creek. So we're going to do Stony Creek this summer, and then Adams the following summer.
How long did the pool dehumidification parts last?
They, according to ASHRAE, who's the authority on HVAC equipment. Those have a useful life around 15 to 20 years. And currently the one at Stony Creek is a little over 20 years old. And the Adams unit's about 19. It'll be over 20 when it's replaced.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking care of our pools, especially after seeing the state champion. I'm sure that those swimmers are very appreciative of that. And one more question for the record, what happens when there are no bids?
Is that for me?
Sure. Yep.
Well, we didn't get any bids on the carpentry because the scope was kind of nebulous, basically. So there's allowances set aside in the board bid recommendations, and essentially what that's for, it's carpentry allowances to patch ceilings. So when we're replacing these unit ventilators, it's the heating and cooling unit that sits in each of the classrooms at Adams and Rochester High. If we have to rework the ceiling or do some modification above the ceiling, that's what those dollars are for. We're hoping we don't have to disturb those ceilings or rework any of the ductwork above there. But in case we do, there's money set aside to be repaired on a time and material basis to make any necessary ceiling repairs.
Thank you. Any other board member questions? Michelle?
Pete, I'm sure this is for you as well. If you could just kind of touch on that mechanical, electrical, and plumbing projects and just give an overview of those. I know we just talked about the dehumidification systems, but I know there's other things incorporated in that. And then also the other two, just in English, what we're going to be doing at each of those.
Yep, sure, you got it. Unlike bond programs with the sinking fund, it's a bunch of smaller little projects spread out across numerous schools. So when we did bond programs, we could do one large renovation at a single building. Well, now we have to bundle smaller little projects. So what we did on this first package was bundled a bunch of mechanical, electrical, plumbing projects that made sense, that would be attractive to companies to bid on. So essentially the bulk of the work is the replacement of the heating, cooling units for all the classrooms that have exterior windows in them, that have their heating, cooling units that sit on the outside wall at Adams and Rochester High. Between those two schools, there's about 100 of those units. Then we're also replacing the same units over at Caring Steps in all the rooms there. So that's the bulk of the cost of it. Then the other part is the dehumidification unit replacement at the two natatoriums for Adams and Stony Creek. And along with those replacements, similar to what we did at Rochester High School, we're putting a chloramine evacuation system in, so which pulls off the chloramine gases along the pool level. We are getting some complaints from some of the swim parents and swimmers, and it's a new technology that's being put in natatoriums in the past 10 or 15 years to pull these chloramine gases off the pool level. So we're putting those systems in those buildings as well. And then it's just a slew of other small mechanical projects. I think there's 16 technology closets across the districts. We're putting air conditioning units in those rooms to keep the technology equipment cool, that these rooms never had those before. We're doing a water heater replacement at West. We're replacing transformers at 3 buildings, 3 at Hamlin, Hart, and Brooklands. The transformers are 10 years past their useful life. Some of them are leaking badly, so we're replacing those transformers at those locations. And then all this control work, or all this HVAC requires new control work, so that's being done. And then also at the pools, all 3 pools get pool covers. So these pool covers will be able to cover the pool. And those pool covers are automatic. They're powered. So you just have to push a button and they go over the pool water surface. It does a couple things. One, it conserves energy where we're not having to heat water and wasting water. It also increases the life expectancy on the equipment, because that humidified air is laden heavily with chlorine, and that's very corrosive on these dehumidification units. So we're hoping to get some extended life out of that. And then plus it'll be some cost savings for heating and cooling these spaces as well, because you're not wasting all that water or chemicals. So that's a benefit of the pool covers. So that's the MEP projects. So there's several of those. The Baldwin University Hills Playground and Transportation Project. Baldwin was the only school we didn't touch the playground on during the bond program. So we're going back and we're putting a concrete border around that playground, as well as providing and replacing some of the equipment there. And then at University Hills, we're expanding the playground there. They recently added a special education component to that building that wasn't there before when we did the bond program. So they wanted some special education playground equipment for that location. So we're taking care of that with this project. And then the drainage correction at the transportation center was a result of the heavy rain we got last September, where water came in and flooded the transportation center. And looking at what the cause of it was, we have to regrade and redo some of the asphalt behind the building where the water rushes down that hill. So we have to reset some catch basins and redo some asphalt, and then add some trench drains along the building perimeter to prevent water from entering the building. And then lastly, the Rochester High drainage project is a project we've been trying to figure out what's been causing the drain, the leakage seems like every couple of years when we get a consecutive heavy rains, usually two days or more in a row of heavy rains, we get this water infiltration inside the building. So we did some investigation. We met with the city, evaluated the storm drain system, and came up with a project to hopefully alleviate this issue. So essentially what this project's going to do is it's going to put where the water currently comes through at the foundation wall, it's going to put a perimeter foundation drain system along those perimeter walls, and then channel that water from that perimeter drain system out to a storm drain catch basin in the courtyard area. And then from that area, we're adding like a sump pump to that catch basin area. So in case at the point where these catch basins are filled with water and the city's system cannot take any more water that we're draining into it, because that's what happens, they can't drain the water off the site as quickly as we can provide it to them. So what we've decided to do is put a sump pump in one of the catch basins that all these drains will lead into, and then we're going to pump the water out of the catch basin into the parking lot. So it'll be detained in the parking lot until it can drain back in the storm drain. And hopefully by that time, the city system will be able to accept the storm drain that we're adding to their system.
Pete, is all that work being done outside of the Rochester High School walls? So there's no work on the interior?
No, that's work interior. So we have to saw cut along the foundation walls, both in the aux gym, on the, I guess it'd be the south wall of the aux gym, and then the north wall on the media center side, where this water comes in the building at. So we're going to saw cut, place this trench drain in there, and then we're going to pipe it and saw cut all the way through the aux gym out to the courtyard area. As you recall, in 2019, we did a project on the media center side to extend the storm drain from inside the media center side. So that still is useful. We're going to tie in this new trench drain along the perimeter of the foundation wall to that drain we added back in 2019. So that was money that we're still utilizing that. So there's not as much saw cutting we have to do on the media center side, just along the foundation. Most of the work's in the aux gym side on that area where the water leaks in on that south wall of the aux gym.
And what, does this bid cover everything to put everything back in place so that it's, good inside again?
Correct, yeah. So this puts the concrete back and then seals everything back. And then once we're done through the aux gym, then they can put the gym floor back. That's gonna go over at the top of this concrete, so. And then we've also added, as part of this, we've added some audio alarm system. So in case we do get some water infiltration by some, hopefully miracle, knock on wood, this will take care of it. That we'll have a heads up alarm when this water starts infiltrating into these areas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Pete or his team, Barb?
I didn't have a question for Pete, but I do appreciate the fact that he referenced some issues that we had back when we were appropriating the bond funds. But also just as a reminder to everyone here and to our community that when we did an analysis of what our needs were for the district before the bond was passed, the $185 million, that number was actually significantly higher, was it not, Dana? So, but we knew that the community wouldn't bear anything more than that $185 million bond passage. So the fact that we have a sinking fund in place so that we can address these additional issues that we knew we couldn't address during the bond, I really appreciate that the community stepped up again and helped pass that sinking fund as well. So while we're still outlaying cash for issues, they've been around for a while, and I'm just glad to see that we have the means to take care of them. So thanks for your work on this.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions from board members or comments from the public on this item? Mr. Weaver.
Do we think we should address the money that was taken out of the bond fund for caring steps? And that the fact that that's still losing money? Again, I don't think that was part of the bond proposal at the time. And yet that doesn't seem to ever get spoke about, that again, funds were taken out of the bond fund to invest in caring steps. But yeah, and again, it continues to lose money. When are we going to address that?
Just to clarify, preschool programs were in that original bond fund proposal. So I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the sinking fund projects, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is a 5-0 vote. And I need to call, I've had a request to call just a quick 5-minute recess. So we will be right back in 5 minutes. All right. I think we're ready to resume as long as Cindy and the remote team is ready. All right. Next item on the agenda is item 7.5, administration building. This is an action item, Deputy Superintendent Dana Taylor.
Thank you. After the community approved the 2015 bond issue, the district made a decision to prioritize safety, security, infrastructure, and technology projects in facilities that had a direct impact on students and staff first, such as school buildings and transportation. All of the budgeted bond construction projects have been completed now, except the administration building, which was last renovated in 1988. As you know, the administration building issues have been discussed in many board committee meetings over the last few years, as well as in detail at the March 2021 work session. Ongoing facility issues such as the cooling tower failure, water leaks in the atrium, mechanical failures in the HVAC units that were installed in the ceilings above the third floor offices, and the periodic recurring bat problem are all issues we have known would have to be addressed as soon as the school buildings had been taken care of. Gary Collins, principal with the Collins and Blaha law firm, is here tonight, and we would like to present to you a facility analysis and recommendation regarding the last building project included in the 2015 bond initiative. Ready for the next slide, Lori? Thank you. So the school buildings were renovated first, and they were all substantially completed last month. The administration building total bond 2015 budget was about 3.6 million. So about 2.3 of that is construction, was earmarked for construction, and the rest for technology, architectural fees, things like that. In December of 2018, we awarded a proposal for a facility assessment on this building. And in January of 2019, the assessment began. It began with a drawing review and an on-site inspection and evaluations of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, capacities, life expectancies, things like that. So we had a group of engineers and architects that came in and really looked over the building. Then in March of 2019, they conducted a program and staff needs assessment. There are about 121 people who work out of this building. The meetings included the department staff, the architect, executive administration, facilities staff, and we took a look at what space needs did each of those departments need and where did they need to be located. So for example, does curriculum need to be located next to special ed? Is that good for efficiencies and that kinds of things? So they took a hard look at that. It took them from January of 2019 to September to issue that building assessment report. That's how detailed that investigation was. So in the report, they produced facility inspection findings, and then they put together some options, summary, and conclusions. As you'll see, the 3.6 million that was budgeted in the original bond program isn't nearly enough to take care of the needs of this building. The next series of pictures we've all seen. So even before we had that facility assessment, we knew there were problems, right, with the administration building. Anybody in the spring who walks down that hall right outside the boardroom knows that it's filled with buckets from water coming in. And then the crumbling brick on the outside, you can just see, you know, the variety of problems that we all knew this building was experiencing. It's not that this building hasn't been taken care of. Our guys have done a great job of, you know, maintaining mechanical equipment and all of that. It's just getting past its useful life. So next slide, please, Lori. So these are what these are the findings that the group found. There were 4 significant issues in the report. The first one is the roof replacement. but it's not what you think of when you go to replace your roof at home, right? So if you need a new roof at home, you might need to replace a couple of boards and then you reshingle it and it's no big deal. But this roof replacement includes the structure underneath the roof that is crumbling. It includes reworking the parapet to roofing material intersections, remove and replace the top stone, precast caps, seal the roof and parapets from the elements, remove and replace steel lintels over windows. So it's a big, big job. It's not just the top layer, it's everything underneath. The second thing was to replace the lobby addition. So that lobby addition was put on in 1989. But the damage to the structure over time above the lobby and corridor windows is so severe, you can't fix it. You have to tear it down and rebuild it. Whenever you start renovating a building, you're required to bring everything up to code, right? So when we look at the restrooms, all the public restrooms do not meet current barrier-free codes. Not only that, there aren't enough restrooms to meet the required restroom fixture count for a building of this size under current code. The fourth finding was stairways and elevators. None of the stairways within this building meet current codes. Guardrails, handrails would have to be rebuilt. Two stairways would have to be enclosed with fire-rated doors. The fire-rated doors would have to be replaced in 2 stairways, and the combustible material would have to be removed in 1 stairway to meet current code. New fire-rated doors and frames would have to be installed in the freight elevator on all floors. Also, a significant issue are the windows. The majority of the windows have failing sealant and have been damaged over time from leaking parapets on the roof and the lack of weep holes. So all of the windows need to be replaced. The ramp does not meet barrier-free codes and the stairs are deteriorating. The exterior stair right out front needs to be replaced and a new drainage system installed underneath it. So the next. Yep.
It's not uncommon on a building of this age that when you renovate it, and the last renovation was 33 years, that you're going to have a number of code updates. You're starting with a very old building in the first place, and then you're looking at all the code changes that have occurred in 33 years. So at the point in time that we start to renovate, we have to update on this very old building all the code issues that have changed during 33 years. So a number of the costs here are not only that the useful life has been exceeded on certain elements, well, on most of the elements of this building, but you've got to update the code. And that's part of the reason why you get into such expense on these older buildings when you update them, is you've got to just renovate the building to bring it up to current codes where you haven't done so in 33 years.
Yeah. So on the next series of slides are just pictures that were included in the assessment report. So on the left, you see a typical issue for the top of the wall where there is stone coping. The roof membrane should go up the wall and under the stone coping. And you can see there that it's in very bad shape. And then to the right of that, a typical window on the 3rd floor, you can see the damage, the water damage on the ceiling. You go to the next slide, this shows a couple of shots of the lobby addition. So this atrium, we call it out here. It's just in such disrepair. There's no renovating it. It'll have to be torn down and replaced. The next slide shows a couple of pictures of walkways and stairways. So that's one of the stairs that needs to be brought up to fire code. And then this room under the exterior walkway to the right, damage has been caused by infiltration of water. And there is nothing between the ceiling of this room and the walkway above it. This room should really be sealed off and not used.
You're going to, as you go through these slides, you're going to frequently see water damage from just leaks in the roof that are coming down that have damaged foundations, damaged other things. And there's nothing that you can really do about that a long time along this period without having to replace the whole roof the under roof and a lot of the actual structure in it. So it's not a matter that the useful life was not maintained. It's that it has exceeded its useful life and you have code changes.
And then these are just some photos of the window damage. So in September of 2019, we began to identify alternative spaces for programs that would better fit in a school building. And the reason we did that is we knew if something happened, with the HVAC in this building, we would have to find lease space, and we wanted to reduce the footprint that we would need to lease in the event that happened. That's where children come in to receive these services. And so we identified a couple of places. One of the places that we looked at was Hamlin Elementary School for that program. Another set of offices were for school-aged care, and we moved those offices recently to the Caring Steps Children's Center. The police liaisons had a conference room here. Didn't really have to be, it could be located anywhere. That has been since moved. I don't think it's at West Middle School, though. I think is it at West Middle School? And then we began preliminary discussions about a tech hub. You know that technology is centered here, so our data center and our tech hub is here. So all of the fiber from all of the buildings come in here. So if something happened and we couldn't work out of this building, we would have had to figure that out. So we started to look for options to move the technology operations to a spot that was secure and safe and protected. So we began to look at the corner of Livernois and University, right in front of Rochester High, as a possible spot for a building to house technology. So while that was going on, the firm of King Scott was continuing to look at options. What could we do? What are the options to repair or rebuild or bring this building up to code? So Laurie, if you go to the next slide. So many options were discussed, but really it boiled down to the 5 that we're going to talk about. Option 1A included a new roof, mechanical, electrical, windows, ADA upgrades, rebuilding the atrium, and moving the staff out during construction. So under this model, you would lease space, move everybody out, and then renovate this building. Option 1B includes everything in option 1A, but the building is occupied during construction. So if you remember, when we went through Hart Middle School, we sort of moved people around. So we moved everybody out of one area, we renovated it, we moved people back in, and then we moved to the next one. It just takes longer. Option 2 includes everything in option 1A, plus the oldest section of the building would be demolished and replaced with a new boardroom addition, and functional space would be reorganized. So in the first options, everybody just stays where they are. There are no new walls or anything. It's just you're rebuilding the infrastructure of the building. Option 2 considers, moving people to improve efficiencies. Option 3 and 4, the current building would be demolished and a new smaller building would be constructed on this site. But this option assumes that central receiving and district storage and the boardroom wouldn't be located in this building. So if you think about it, in this building, we have lots of space, right? Because we're just filling up what was here. And so we store a lot of attic stock in this building. And so when you build an office building, that's more expensive space. So could we build this building and then build a pole barn somewhere? It's cheaper construction and it's suitable for storing attic stock. Option 4 assumes a new site is purchased and a new building is constructed, but again, central receiving district storage and the boardroom would not be located on that site. It assumes that board meetings would take place in a school building. So let's look at putting numbers to that. Option 1A, and just to recap, that is upgrading all of the, putting on a new roof and upgrading mechanical, electrical, all new windows, ADA upgrades, tearing down the atrium and rebuilding it, and getting out during construction. That was estimated to cost $23.3 million. And keep in mind, this study was done back in August of 2019. And we all know what's happened with construction prices these days because of the pandemic. So these are just pre-COVID estimates. Option 1B was everything in option 1A, but we stay here during construction. That is the least cost option at $21.2 million. Option 2, that was including everything in option 1A, but we demolished the oldest part of the building and replace it with a new boardroom addition and reorganize the functional space. That estimate is $21.2 million, $29.2 million. Option 3, where we demolish the current building and build a new smaller building plus a pole barn to be located elsewhere. That is estimated to cost $31,390,000. And then option 4 assumes a new site is purchased and a new building constructed, and central receiving district storage and the boardroom are not located on the site. That's estimated to be $26,373,000. So one of the options that was not identified in the assessment report was purchasing an existing office facility. Office facilities like this are few and far between. And we did, while all this other work was going on, we worked with a real estate agent to see if there was anything out there available that would fit our needs. But we had some criteria that had to be met that guided us. The location, of course, had to be within district boundaries. The site itself had to meet zoning requirements that we needed, be large enough, and be environmentally safe. The facility itself had to be in good repair, had to be affordable, and it had to be able to accommodate the Board of Education, administration, district and community functional needs, because that was really important to the board and to us, because a lot happens in this building, both district-wise, board-wise, and community-wise. And then we wanted to make sure it would contain a space for current building historical elements, the mural that's up in the back of the room, things like that that are part of our history that we don't want to lose. And then the last thing was to engage in a property search that would not artificially increase the price of property in a limited market.
A problem you have, a school district has when they're trying to look for office space, so 65,000 square feet within a limited area, within a limited time frame. If sellers know who the purchaser is, it distorts the value of what they're going to ask for the property or how much they're negotiating on it. As we go through the numbers, what you're going to see is that we've been able to look at a property that comes up with of our least expensive option, only 45% of the cost, of our most expensive option, 20% of the cost. If the purchaser is revealed and the sellers can see what our other options are, which is pretty easy to ascertain, you're looking at probably a 30 to 40% increase in your purchase price. And so what we had to do was we had to not reveal that we were the purchaser because there is so many limits both on time and space that it would have escalated the property price substantially. And you'll see as we go through here that we were able to keep the price from being distorted by keeping the investigation and keeping the purchase agreement and everything else confidential until this point in time, other than to the Board of Education.
Thank you. Let's take a look at the timeline. So in November 2020, we identified a building of interest. So we looked at many properties, and for one reason or another, they weren't a good fit. Either the zoning wasn't right, the size wasn't right. There was always something that made it not a good fit. But in November of 2020, we identified a building that looked like it might be something worth pursuing. So in January of 2021, we agreed upon tentative terms with the seller. In March 2021, we engaged in due diligence. So a company was hired to inspect that facility, both the building envelope and the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and they issued their report. A survey was performed. A phase 1 environmental report was completed. And then the facility report, was presented at the last board session in March when we talked about the problems with this building. In April 2021, the decision was made to move forward. The board and attorneys met. And then tonight we will present a resolution to you. And then sometime in the near future, close on that transaction with your approval. So let's look at the building of interest. So this building is, it's located on DeQuinder Road. It's 52585 DeQuinder Road. It sits on 17.65 acres. It was built in 1995. So if you think about that, this building is 8 years newer than the most recent renovation on this building. The building is 93,660 square feet. 64,620 of that is office space. 29,000, a little over 29,000 of the building is warehouse space. So if you look at the picture in the middle, the big portion of the building to the left, that's all office space. There's a big atrium in the middle of that picture. And then to the right is the warehouse space. So the building is separated by that atrium between the office space and the warehouse space. So Lori, next, that's just the statistics that I just talked about. But let's talk about the purchase agreement terms. So the purchase price is $7 million and we have to pay for that. So what we're proposing is $2 million from general fund and $2 million from sinking fund, and then borrowing $3 million on a installment purchase agreement from a bank. So we issued an RFP to see what interest rates we could get. And PNC Bank proposed an interest rate of 1.24%. The payback period is 5 years, and that debt service will come from the sinking fund. Also, the company that occupies part of the building now would like to continue to occupy the warehouse space for a year with an option for an additional year. So the lease terms have already been negotiated with your approval. The 1 year rent would be $25,900 a month for the warehouse space, or $310,800 in the first year. But again, this entire process was executed with no artificial increase in the price of the property.
Yeah. You will note that with interest rates where they are, we have an extremely favorable interest rate for a 5-year note on that. It will be paid from sinking fund. The other thing you're going to see is this represents On the office portion, a cost of only $92 a square foot, where if we were looking at some of our renovation costs, our renovation costs went between $208 a square foot to a replacement value of $454 a square foot. And so it is very difficult for a school district to buy a building of this size without distorting the prices in the market. And that's why it has to be done so confidentiality, because the range of our other alternative is so high that it would be very easy to inflate the purchase price by 30 to 40% and still have that be the cheapest alternative for the school district.
So on the next slide, the results of the facility assessment that we did during the due diligence phase, we used a company joints in the masonry walls at the overhead doors that would need to be repaired. All of the flooring throughout the building needs to be replaced. It's original to the building. It's primarily carpeting, but there are some areas in the entryways that have VCT. And so all of the flooring would have to be replaced. Also, in the atrium of the building and the parking lot, they have metal halide lights. You know that for the last 5 years, as long as Pete's been here, we've been marching through the district replacing those with LED just because they are so costly. So we would want to replace those. And just as a side note, DTE has a program where you get a rebate on the cost of that. And then the emergency and exit lighting is too dim, so we would have to upgrade that as well. But all in all, the building is in fantastic shape. It's been very well maintained. It's just a really nice building. Want to add anything?
Yeah, the building has been owner occupied since its construction. And whenever you have an owner occupant of a building, they have a tendency to invest more money in the building because not only are they owner, but they're living there, so to speak, for the workspace. And so it is an excellent condition. And as we get into the square footage prices, it's an excellent acquisition for the school district.
So moving to the next slide, Lori. So, I mean, it looked really good. And so we wanted to put it side by side with the options that we looked at a few slides back. And Gary's mentioned a couple of times that, you know, if you look at the column with 2021 above it, 2021 purchase a building option 5, really, the building is 96,460 square feet. We're paying with your approval, we would pay $7 million for it. We do know we're going to have some money into those items that we just talked about, the lighting, the flooring, the parking lot. So we've estimated that cost at almost $3.5 million. So in the event that this current site was sold, that money would go back into general fund. Just like option 4, we assumed that happened in this model. So we'd end up paying net cost $8.8 million for the building, or $92 a square foot. So on the next steps, we're going to present a resolution for you to consider tonight. In the event that you authorize the building purchase, we would close on the building in the very near future. We would begin design work for replacement of items identified in that facility assessment, so the parking lot, the lights and things like that. But more importantly, we would need to convene a citizens committee of stakeholders to study the options for this current administration building. With the work that needs to be done on the DeQuinder building, we don't anticipate that we would be ready to move anytime soon. It would probably take maybe 9 months to a year to get all of that work done, because you have to have an architect design it, you have to bid it out, you have to line up the construction crews and things like that. So we would have time to get that citizens committee meeting committee together to discuss and analyze the options for the current building.
One of the advantages of having a much newer building is you're not going to have all the code costs that you would have whenever you start to renovate this building. Current building is up to code. And so that removes a huge cost from the school district of trying to bring up a building to code.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think there is a resolution then to approve the purchase of property. Do we want to read that resolution and then take a motion and then discuss it and have public comment? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Whereas Section 11A of the Revised School Code MCL 380.11A authorizes the district to purchase real and personal property and facilities, and Section 1 of the Purchase of Land and Property for Public Purposes Act 99, Public Acts of Michigan 1933 as amended, or Act 99, authorizes the district to borrow money for the purchase of real or personal property for public purposes to be paid for in installments over a period not to exceed the lesser of the useful life of the project or 15 years. And whereas the district wishes to accept an assignment from Purchaser Acquisition LLC, a Michigan limited liability company of a contract to purchase real property located at 52585 DeQuinder Road, Rochester, Michigan, for the purchase price of $7 million. And whereas the district solicited proposals from land banks for financing a portion of the purchase price of the property in the amount of $3 million. And whereas the district intends to pay for the remainder of the purchase price of the property through a combination of general fund and sinking fund monies from the sinking fund tax levy approved by voters at the November 5th, 2019 election. And whereas the district has received a proposal from PNC Bank National Association in the amount of up to $3 million for a 5-year term with an aggregate amount of $3 million. Now therefore be it resolved that 1, the proposal of the bank as above stated is hereby accepted. The bank shall be the assignee of the installment purchase agreement executed with the seller of the property. 2, the district hereby accepts the assignment from Purchaser Acquisition LLC for the purchase of the property for the amount of $7 million, which shall be partially paid via the IPA in an amount not to exceed $3 million, with the remainder to be paid from the district sinking fund. The portion of the purchase price of the property is to be paid via the IPA, shall be paid by the district to the bank in annual installments of principal and interest for a term not exceeding the useful life of the property, with interest thereon at the rate of 1.24% per annum, subject to increased rates should the district default on the payment of principal or interest on the IPA. 3, the superintendent or his authorized designee shall execute the IPA, the IRS Form 8038G, and all other documents necessary to complete the transaction herein contemplated. 4, to provide monies to pay the principal and interest of the bond, there is hereby made an irrevocable appropriation of the amount necessary to pay the principal of an interest on the IPA from the monies to be derived from the school district's levy of the sinking fund millage. The district reserves the right to issue additional obligations of equal standing and priority of lien as to revenues from the sinking fund with the IPA within the limitations prescribed by law. As additional security for the prompt payment of the principal and interest on the IPA, there is hereby irrevocably pledged the limited tax, full faith and credit of the district, and in the event of insufficiency of funds primarily pledged to the payment of principal and interest of the IPA, the school district covenants and agrees to provide for such inefficiency from such resources as are lawfully available to it, including the levy of ad valorem taxes, subject to applicable constitutional and statutory tax rate limitations. 5, the useful life of the property is hereby determined to be not less than 5 years. 6, pursuant to the requirements of Act 99, the outstanding balance of all purchases by the district under Act 99, exclusive of interest, shall not exceed 1.25% of the taxable value of the real and personal property in the school district as of the date of closing. 7, the board hereby authorizes the superintendent or his designee to transfer 2 million from the district's general fund to the district's sinking fund for the purpose of paying for a portion of the cost of the purchase price of the property. The board hereby authorizes the superintendent or his designee to pay for the remainder of the purchase price of the property from the district sinking fund, which amount is expected to be approximately $4 million, representing 2 million from the sinking fund and 2 million transferred from the general fund to the sinking fund. 9, the board hereby authorizes the superintendent or his designee to pay for all costs associated with completing and closing the contemplated transaction, including bank fees and attorney fees from the district sinking fund. And finally, number 10, all resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be and the same are hereby rescinded.
Thank you. I will now take a motion by one of my colleagues to approve the resolution to approve the purchase of property for the administration building as presented. Moved by Mike, seconded by Scott. Discussion and questions about this purchase.
Yeah, I've got a question. Scott, hey Dan, how you doing? Question here. The technology thing, we can check that off the list, right? We're not going for the corner of Livernois anymore because
That's
it's gonna,
correct.
this facility will take care of that.
That's correct.
And I'm thinking short-term, long-term here. We don't have to fix things in the future. I like that. But a question on the sale, what kind of idea do you think that we're gonna get from the potential sale of this property to put down on that loan at some point when we sell it? And then the second part, if it's too much at once, you know, stop me. And that is the 300 and something grand a year that we get. What kind of a dent does that make in our monthly obligation in the short term when we're collecting that money from our lease? If we have any idea for that.
So the first one, how much do we estimate that we would get from the sale of this property were that to happen?
Yes.
Well, back in 2019, that group estimated that we would realize net proceeds of about $1.6 million.
Thank you.
And then the second part of your question was,
Yeah, based on the roughly 300,000 we're gonna collect in that lease. How might that work out in regards to, say, for that first year to having that lease, potentially the second, and how does that stack up to the monthly note that we would have?
sure, so we make annual installments of about $600,000 on that note. So it's roughly
Okay.
half of what that
About
payment
half?
would be.
Okay. Thank you.
Dana, I'm pretty sure you had said it, but if you could just confirm for me, I was trying to read these teeny tiny little numbers. The approximately 3.5 million that we think we'll need to spend to get the building in order for our use. Did you say, is that expected that the bond fund would cover the majority of that?
Yeah, so the bond language enables us to renovate a building. So we could use the roughly 3.6 million from bond funds to do the work on this building, which it was earmarked for this building. So it kind of makes sense.
Right. Okay. So we have that piece is the bond money. We have 2 million from sinking fund, 2 million from general fund, and then the remaining 3 million in a loan. Okay.
Correct.
I'll just say this is a much more palatable option than, the 31 million or whatever options were out there. So I'm glad that we were able to come up with a different solution. I feel we've taken care of the students. I know we still have some other items we'd like to do too, but we also have a responsibility to the people who work in this building to make sure that they, are not living where there are leaks and potentially mold or bats flying around or, the various things that we've experienced here. So I think while I hate to spend money on this type of thing, we also have an obligation to take care of our employees and to provide a space where we can have our meetings and do that. So I appreciate that you've been able to find a solution that gives us in the long term that storage warehouse area as well as the office space too for a much lower dollar value.
Thank you. I also just wanted to say, I appreciate the sensitivity of trying to approach this project in a way so that we could leverage the best price. Obviously, the uniqueness of our needs to be able to meet and find a property that's available within the boundaries of the district. And just to reiterate that it is still technically within the boundaries of the city of Rochester proper. But I want to speak more to the issue that you brought up in terms of what we do with this building and putting together a citizens committee, because I can tell you now that there will be folks that will not be happy that we about what that could look like, that citizens committee, and you know, how that would be developed so that we can move forward in a way that we can embrace the new, but still respect our history too.
Sure. You know, Debbie, you can probably speak more to this because I wasn't here when the TI 2020 committee was convened or the strategic plan. So if you wouldn't mind, sorry to put you on the spot.
Thank you, Mrs. Taylor. One of the pieces that we've given some dialogue to based on the 2021 strategic plan is that we're going to be re-envisioning our strategic plan moving forward. And one of our Stony Creek graduates is now leading the Historical Society and has brought to our attention that this is Rochester School's 200th year this year, 2021. And we've had some collaboration and some preliminary discussions in terms of the historical components of this building. And many retirees who have retired from this building went to high school here and they still like to visit. We thought it would be a wonderful opportunity, if this is a proposal that is approved, to bring forward a committee of stakeholders to look at that component as we celebrate not only the envisioning of a new strategic plan, but also the 200 year of Rochester schools. So those are some preliminary conversations that we've had. We have many guests that have come over the years to look at the murals, to see where their pictures are, and we honor that very deeply. And that would be part of a community partnership that we would have moving forward, along with the reimagining of the new strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, so from a financial standpoint, this is just a slam dunk, right? It's a move we can make with the least amount of financial impact to the district. We're actually pretty lucky to have found this really beautiful building in Rochester that is in good condition. The tough part of this decision really is what Barb said, is the emotional burden of moving out of this building that has served the community for so many years and is in such a prime location in the neighborhood. So that's really the only tough part. But I mean, you can't argue with the numbers that you've presented to us. It's just not. You just can't choose any other option here.
I was just going to piggyback on what you said. I mean, our role here as a board, we have fiduciary oversight for this district, and we are charged and challenged with being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. And to Mike's point, when you look at the layout of all the options that are available to us, it really is, I believe, the most sound investment that we can make as a district.
Yeah, so I would agree with Mike, your description of this being a slam dunk, but I wanted to say a couple things. I am very supportive of all of this work. Really have complete trust in the team on this decision. We knew 2 years ago, essentially, that we could not afford to renovate this building. And we knew it was not safe, and we knew we had to do something. And we heard as recently, I think, as our last meeting or work session, some of the problems, including, I mean, I was here within the last month when there was an infestation of bats. And it's not just bats, and it's not just leaking. You know, I don't want the community to think, oh, we're buying a building because we have bats and we have a leaky roof, because we have that at our houses too. So it's not just about that. It's about all of these things put together in the upkeep and maintenance of this building as well. And what's really difficult for me, and I think for my colleagues as well, is the process. And I had to, I respect Mr. Collins and your team for walking us through the fact that we couldn't be out here talking about this at our public meeting, because we do, at the end of the day, it's our duty to be fiscally responsible. And that's our role, is as a board. We couldn't disclose that we were looking at this building, or that our administrative team was looking at this building. And that was hard for me. And it still is hard for me, because I think that at the end of the day, I am committed to transparency, and all of us are committed to transparency. And it was hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that this isn't an issue of transparency. It's an issue of fulfilling our responsibility. And so I do appreciate you walking us through that, the fact that we're able to get such a wonderful deal on this building, and we were able to get this building, period. I mean, there weren't very many options, and there still aren't very many options for us, as you outlined. And I did want to clarify that this building is not necessarily for sale. Like, I don't want anyone to think that this building is for sale. We're putting together a committee to figure out what is next. And I guess that's what I wanted to say. Did I miss anything? Any other questions or comments from board members? Any questions or comments or any comments from the public? Yes.
Rick Baldick, resident of the district. There has been some interesting comments here. It's glad to hear that you do have some sense of oversight or fiscal responsibility. But we saw this same movie 3 years ago, and you did this same thing with the daycare center. You bought a bad building in a bad location. You didn't know how to market it, and you didn't know how to run it. As a result, we've been shoveling cash at the rate of $100,000 a month into this money pit that we squandered $8 million on. I don't even know how that's legal. How did we take education dollars and use them to fund a failed business? I don't understand that at all. So this on the surface, this building needs help, no question. You haven't kept it in good repair. But look before you leap. You've got a plan that looks like a good deal. But what it doesn't have is your relocation costs, your remodeling costs, and all of these things. And like I said, your track record is not good. I think when you did the last building, you estimated your remodeling at $1 million and you spent $3.5 million. That's part of the reason you're in deep trouble over there. You know, you had a planned capacity of 170 and you never had more than 50 customers. You're going broke, for God's sakes. If it was a real business, you'd have been out of business a year ago. You know, I realize this is a little different situation, but look before you leap, please.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Mr. Weaver.
Yeah, so I think we figured out why you guys limited people not to be able to speak from home. My phone is blowing up by the amount of people that are absolutely furious that this is not open for a public hearing where we're talking about putting together parents or the community to talk about what to do with this building, but not to actually have dialogue on what to do with going forward to spend another $7 million. This is unreal, the lack of respect for the community. There are options. Just as I said, take caring steps and make that the admin building. Again, it's losing money. To just say we're going to set, again, do acknowledge that we're going to take bond money because it was just happened to be some bond money was tagged for administrative buildings, so we can use it for this new one. That's just, again, plain tricks. To say that, hey, we knew 2 years ago we couldn't afford to renovate this, but we've been putting out plans that, hey, yeah, look what we're gonna do to renovate it. So it's $30 million. So hey, when we bring up this one that's $7 million, it sounds better. This is the communication of the district. We're not dumb. Parents can see what's going on. The fact that you guys are about to approve the purchase and spend $7 million more is unreal without real community input. And again, my phone is blowing up for many parents across the entire political spectrum. This is not politics for us. This is the community in which we live in, that we do believe in the district. And we're watching it be absolutely destroyed by bad decisions and poor leadership. The community has a right to say in these votes. And to approve this purchase is absolutely wrong.
Any other public comment on this issue? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote to approve the administration building motion as presented. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is a 5-0 vote. Next item, 7.6, approval of budget amendments. This is an action item. Is this Dana or Matt? Dana.
Thank you. Attached to the general fund budget amendment resolution, you should find a page that details changes by source and function. The amendment includes a net increase in budgeted expenditures in the general fund of $2 million that is due to the planned purchase of the DeQuinder Road property. The effect of the change to the general fund is a decrease in budgeted fund balance of $1,848,768 for an estimated ending fund balance of $36,680,026. For the sinking fund, attached to the sinking fund budget amendment resolution, you should find a page that details changes by source and function. The amendment includes a net increase in budgeted revenues and other financing sources and expenditures and other financing uses of $2 million that is due to the planned purchase of the DeQuinder Road property. These changes have no effect on the projected fund balance of the sinking fund, which is $380,222 at June 30th, 2021. We are recommending approval of the general and sinking fund budget amendments as presented.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented. Moved by Michelle, seconded by Barb. Discussion or questions about the amendments from the board? Any questions or any comments from the public about the amendments? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That is a 5-0 vote. Additional business, item 8.1, citizens present at the meeting. So I have two cards, two yellow cards. If you're still here, if you stuck with us, thank you. Janine Morris and Laura Mann. Janine? Yes, 3 minutes. Please state your name and your relationship to the district.
My name is Jeannie Morris. I'm a resident here. I'm a proud mother of 2 RCS students, and I'm a 1984 graduate myself. And my son, Matthew, is a junior at Adams High School. I'm here because time is of the essence, and we need some immediate help to adjust our procedures for high school mandatory quarantine students. I know this firsthand because Matthew is on his second mandatory quarantine since March, and he is not allowed to return to class now until April 23rd. Matt is not alone. Out of the 10 Adams High School parents I've spoken with recently, only 2 have yet to have children placed on quarantine. So in other words, 8 out of 10 have been mandatorily quarantined for 10 to 14 days minimum over the last month. The problem that we have is that the Google Classroom isn't working. I've looked at Matthew's Google Classroom and it is not instruction. It is giving assignments and posting slides and expecting kids to keep up. And for Matt and other kids that are in high school, this is a lot to ask of teenagers that aren't ready emotionally or mature enough to handle this much independence, self-supervision, and isolation to become their own teachers. By referring to the Oakland County COVID cases dashboard on Saturday, our COVID numbers are at the highest rate to date. Using past peaks and valleys as reference, it's reasonable to expect that we won't see a downward decline for several weeks. However, we only have 8 full weeks of instruction left, and that includes this week, which is why I'm here. Our mandatory quarantine high school students need more access to teachers so that they can finish the school year strong. Our district's juniors are counting on us to fix this now so their grades and motivation can stay up. Their grades will allow them to qualify for scholarships, and their GPAs will allow them to get into their colleges of choice. Ultimately, I'll wrap up with 2 questions and hope you will honor me with answering them by email. 1, what are we doing to ensure all in-person and healthy mandatory quarantine students are getting the same and equal access to instruction? And myself and several other Adams High School concerned parents have emailed all of you as well as our principals over the last 24 hours. It seems that these emails may not have reached you because I didn't hear any of their names called when we went through it before. So I'll get to the bottom of that. I'll make sure that I get copies of those and send those to you to a correct email address with my public comments for further review. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think we received any emails today from Adam's parents. Laura Mann. Laura, are you still here? Oh, yep. Okay.
Not organized, but I'm here.
That's okay. That's okay. Thanks for staying with us.
Yes, it's my, second time, I think, to a meeting in the last 15 years. But with what's going on with the pandemic, I came in about 30 minutes late, so I didn't get to see how much discussion there was before I walked in regarding to the concerns that parents have right now during Rochester's decision to remain open. Was there any discussion before I came in, or was it basically all about finances and other issues at this time?
We did have an agenda item. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, the COVID-19 recertification.
Was it discussed? Did I came in about 7:40. Did I miss? Was there any discussion about the seriousness of what's going on right now, or why we are remaining open during this? If we follow the data and we follow what's going on around our state, I understand there really isn't many people here to discuss this from a parent's perspective, but I'd like to have some answers on why we are deciding to stay open. I did send through the talk to us. Mrs. Fragomeni, did you get that today, this morning? I've sent like 2 or 3 talk to us messages and I haven't heard any responses. So I'm trying to figure out if briefly, I know I only have a couple of minutes here, but thanking everybody for the difficult decisions that everybody is trying to make during this time. As a parent that follows the data, first, you indicated that on April 4th, 2021, that MDHHS and OCHD indicated that schools were safe to proceed with in-person learning unless, sorry, I don't have my computer, so I have to do this with my phone, otherwise directed by both MDHHS and OCHD, the Oakland County Health Department. On April 10th, 2021, MDHHS and the governor recommended that the Oakland County Health Department and the school districts take additional mitigation strategies to reduce the spread for 2 weeks. They were both very clear in the request to pause and return to remote learning. Rochester Community Schools was otherwise directed, but you decided to remain open. There is too much unknown about the new variants. We do know, however, that the UK variant is 50 to 75% more contagious than the previous strain. We also know that it is affecting our younger youth at alarming rates. According to data released last year in Michigan, when community spread was high, in-school cases
Mrs. Mann, if you can please finish up, your time's almost up, and we will have
Okay,
someone follow up with you.
did increase. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is if we know this information, if we know that the community spread is high, then, and we know it's high in high schools, then why are we allowing the high schools to stay open?
Thank you. Thank you. We'll have someone follow up with you.
Mrs. Mann, I'll be happy to contact you tomorrow. Thank you for being here this evening.
Any other public comments? Members of the administration.
Yes, good evening, Madam President. If I could, please, I'd like to step back to a question that you asked Michelle this evening earlier about our return to learn plan and account. I believe I didn't elaborate, and I wanted to clarify any miscommunication that was not said. So I respectfully want to clarify that the only way that students are counted as part of our enrollment plan is if the student participates. If that's virtual or in person, we have to have documentation that showcases that they have participated, and that could be through an assignment or through some type of engagement. If that does not happen, we don't have the opportunity to count that student. So I really wanted to clarify that. I didn't say that before, and I didn't want the community to believe that we're counting students if they're present or not. They need to have an accountability to that piece. Also, there has been a great deal of requests from our community about our calendar. That has been one of our top 10 talk to us. And so our HR department has been able to give us a few dates, which we did post on our Friday communication. The calendar is still being finalized. We are providing our community with, however, some key dates to help with the planning. Winter break will be December 18th, 2021 through January 2nd, 2022. That seems weird to say. Students return to school on January 3rd, 2022. Spring break next year, March 26th to April 3rd, 2022. Students return to school on April 4th, 2022. So with that said, I just wanted you to know we understand the timeliness of when school is going to begin and those key dates, and we're working very diligently to get that to you as soon as possible. And finally, just moving forward, all of our cabinet team, all of our administrators, we've had many conversations, and moving forward to our community and to our Board of Education, please be assured that we will continue to do all we can to assist our families to safely and sensibly address the challenges and the requirements that are a result of our current public health crisis. As always, we're truly grateful to the support of our students, our staff, our families, our community, and certainly our Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the administration have comments? Any board member comments? I just wanted to address something about our meeting itself. So I'm going to read something that was provided by our attorneys about this meeting and the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meetings Act provides for remote participation at an electronic meeting or by a member of the board where a meeting is held during a local state of emergency. The OMA does not explicitly provide for remote participation of members of the public at an in-person meeting of the board. So as you all know, we are now required to meet in person as a public body. And so our public comment was needing to be in person tonight as well. And that's all I wanted to say about that. Any other comments from the board? Go ahead.
I was just are you going to read the announcements and make a notation that our next meeting was moved?
Oh, yep, when I get to announcements. Yep. Seeing no other comments, announcements. So we have a busy week this week with the SAT this week, starting tomorrow, and the PSAT on Wednesday. We have our work session has been rescheduled to 7 p.m. April 26th. So that's 2 weeks from tonight. And our next Board of Education meeting is May 3rd at 7 PM. That's a busy week. We have all 3 honors convocations for our high schools that week, and looking forward to that, as those are going to be really special, I think. May 7th is a half day of school, important to note, and we'll see you back here on May 3rd. I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:42 PM. Moved by Barb, seconded by Mike. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye.